page, there's a picture. I think it's from Amsterdam in the 17th century. Looks like this. And what do you see hanging? David, you might recognize it. You were in my house.
Chandelier?
It's a chandelier. And what are they doing in the chandelier? What's the chandelier for there?
To illuminate the room.
To illuminate the room. And
Yes. No.
this is the Shabbat candles. This is where Shabbat candles, they used to be used to illuminate the room. There was no electric lights, and Shabbat candles are in some corner just for a ritual. The Shabbat candles are to illuminate the room. This was what the light was, right? That's the original idea of but you can see that it's perhaps, what do they have on the table, on the set, on the table?
A cat?
It's supposed to be a little lamb, of course. And you see matzot. You see matzot, and you see cups of wine. It's obviously this is a wood engraving that was used for the printing press, so it's not quite detailed, but it's fascinating. This is supposed to be a little bit of a Seder Pesach.
How long is the picture?
I don't know it precisely. I'm sorry.
It basically means, and she stood.
Very good.
Yeah.
And she stood, right. But we're going to get to that in just a minute. Open up to page 3, please. Start to page 1. Page 1? Page 1?
Yes.
Preparations for the service of Passover Eve. What's the first thing on the page is bi'ur chametz, getting rid of the chametz. The bracha is made on when? Do we say the bracha? Al bi'ur chametz, the first bracha that it says there. Look on page 1. The night before, good. And then what does it say at the bottom?
I can't kosher the Pesach chips, like I was giving the shul.
That's lovely, but we're in the middle of talking about something else now. Pay attention here.
Pesach.
That's Pesach. There's a million things about Pesach, but I'm talking about page 1 of the book that we're looking at. Be with us.
Page 3.
I changed my mind, and I said, let's start with page 1. At the bottom, it appears Aramaic.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
What does it say in English?
May all leaven in the possession which I have not seen or removed be annulled and considered as dust of the
When do we say that?
after we made the search.
After the search. That's right, the night before. And then the following page, page 2, 1 second, page 2, at the top of the page. Who can read it in English?
The following morning, after giving away or burning,
No, the actual text. May all leaven in my possession.
this one.
Whether I have seen or not, or
Hmm.
whether I have
Removed it or not?
it or not, they annul and consider it as dust up there.
So this is just a minor change from what we said the previous night. Here includes what I have seen, as well as what I have not seen. And basically this is the nullification, bitul chametz. We did all that. Eruv Tavshilin comes next on page 2. We don't do that every year, only when it comes out to be Yom Tov before Shabbat, not this year. Then preparations for the Seder. It's strange. At the bottom it says Hadlakat Ner Shel Shabbat, and the women who light the candles, or if you're a man who lights candles, you say the Shechianu during the candle lighting. That's what it says on page 3. Now I'm willing to start page 3, and you see the 14, or should be 15 parts of the Seder. The bottom of page 2 is the candle, lighting the candles. Hadlik Ner Shel Yom Tov. Okay, page 3 we have the Seder. Who remembers? Kadesh uchatz karpas yachatz magid rachta motzi matzah maror korech shulchan orech tzafun barech aleh nirtzah. Then you have a picture of what's at the bottom of page 3?
The Seder plate.
The Seder plate. What's on the right-hand side?
It's a fun.
Tafun is hidden.
Hidden. Okay.
Here they translate it as dessert.
Okay, that doesn't make sense.
Tafun hidden. What do you do with the hidden? What is the hidden thing that you use, and what do you? Afikomen. And what is afikomen? It's the dessert. Instead of dessert, we have after dessert some special matzah, which commemorates the actual Korban Pesach, which was eaten last, the last thing in the meal. So the taste of the mitzvah stays in your mouth, at least till midnight, or until you brush your teeth. without violating the Yom Tov. Okay, so this is the Seder plate. What do you see on the right-hand side? It's supposed to be a zoa, some kind of a
Chicken?
a roasted piece of meat. Usually, you could use a bone, some sort.
What's the war?
Zeroaz, the roasted bone, roasted piece of meat. Beitza, of course, the egg. Maror, that's the lettuce. And charoset, we talked about the karpas, is another vegetable, usually celery or parsley. And chazeret, the chazeret is the horseradish. Horseradish, another two forms of maror. Horseradish, which is ground up, very sharp, spicy root vegetable. Yeah, okay? Fine. Somebody had a question. Michael, what did you want to ask?
Yeah, just a question. Because you say that it's Aramaic, right?
Yeah.
Can I say like if I see a sentence with the word ending on aleph because it's Aramaic?
No. No. It's not that simple. There are many words that are similar to Hebrew. And it's true that instead of a hey at the beginning, you have an aleph at the end. That's the definite article in Aramaic.
Yes.
So it's quite common that you see the aleph at the end. True. But
words, right?
Sorry?
You never see it with Hebrew words, right?
Well, there are some words that are the same, like lechem lachma. Lechem lachma, right? Lechem lachma. Same thing. Anya, ani. Right, oni.
Is this Eretz Yisraeli Judeo-Aramaic?
I don't know which type of Aramaic it is. Let me see.
Judeo-Aramaic, I just wonder what the dialect.
Yeah, I know. I just don't know. I have to look at it. Let's try to analyze it. Yeah, I can't tell. I don't know. Turn to page 4. Yes, Amos, another question. Yeah. Your Seder plate organization.
There is no chazeret.
How about that? It's not a problem. It's just different. We mentioned that there's many different customs. Maror and chazeret are two forms of the same thing, as we learned the other day. There's 5 types of kosher maror. One is the lettuce, and one is the chazeret, and sometimes you use one or the other, or both. So not always do you have the both on the Seder plate, but that's fine.
The people in Amsterdam are magic. You see, they make the shuran grow with the time. In the picture.
Well, in the picture, what do you see that changes?
The shuran, the table. It grows in the left.
Oh, the
picture.
table shrinks. I see. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. Magic. But anyways, you can see that again. This is from an old. It's in. Looks like it's Yiddish, or some kind of it's page 4. The font is a Hebrew font, but the words are in German. So if our German speaker was here, I'd be able to say it, and he'd be able to translate for us.
This is a Yekish Haggadah?
Well, this page was taken from that type of Haggadah, yes. Obviously published in the vernacular. In any case, it's the same simanim of the Seder, the same order of the Seder. Kadesh, what's Kadesh? What do we do in Kadesh? You see the picture? Can you tell what they're doing in Kadesh? Top right. Kiddush. Kiddush. Next, Urchatz. What are they doing? There's a custom that on the night of the Seder we are like kings. Urchatz. Kings, do they get up from their table to go to the the Hirsch Haggadah. You have a Haggadah for you.
I hate how they keep putting a C. I don't have a C in my name. He has a C in his.
As I was saying, that does the king get up and go to the kitchen to wash his hands in the sink? He has a basin brought in front of him by the servant, as you can see in the picture. Can you see in the picture? Someone is bringing a basin with a washing cup right to the person, to the head of the table. And this is the custom in our household as well.
This is
only once a year. We have we each serve each other, because everybody's supposed to be a king.
read it for
And
us.
It's not only the wife
dramatic.
supposed to be a king.
The
Not only the Balabait.
Script, it's written in-
Hirsch, you're interrupting. Hirsch, you're interrupting. Hirsch, I'm here. Please pay attention. I'm talking to you. Okay, you're having other conversations at other times. While I'm trying to talk, it's really disturbing. I'm happy that you're here in class, but maybe you're not used to it. When I'm here teaching, you should not be having conversations with other people about other pages.
There should be more people here.
There's just another example of another conversation. I'm talking to you about one thing, you start talking about another. It's just, I don't understand it.
If there were more people here, I would talk less.
I don't understand. I really don't understand. I just don't understand what's going on.
Where you left?
Okay, so we're looking at the page 4, at the beautiful pictures that are teaching us the Seder of the Haggadah, Kadesh, Urchatz. Urchatz, I was discussing, a custom that we have. In many families they have this custom, that you wash the hands, you serve everybody gets served as if they're royalty. Because we're celebrating that we are like kings. We came out of Egypt, we're free men. And a free man has people serving him. So, it depends on how many people are there, and it depends if you have somebody who you can ask to serve you. But this is just one more.
We can hire a boy.
Yes, sure. Hire somebody by all means, and they'll bring you the washing straight to the table. You won't even have to get up and move from reclining. Next, what's next? What's number 3? Hirsch, what's number 3? Look at the picture. Number 4. That's the problem. You can't do 2 things at once. So you can't be with the...
There's no such thing as 2 things at once for me. I'm sorry.
I understand. So maybe don't write and be with us in the class and write afterwards.
Number 3 is the karpas.
So what happens in the karpas? Can you see in the picture? What are they eating? It's very hard to see. It's very, very tiny. It's hard to see, but they're eating some kind of vegetable dipped in salt water. That's the custom of karpas, right? You had a whole shiur about it the other day. Am I right? Yeah. Next, what comes next? And what are they doing there? Can you see what they're doing?
They're splitting the matzah.
That's it. Break the matzah in half, and the bigger half they're putting away. That's right. For the afikoman, very good. Magid.
And that's the story.
Telling the story. You can see that for the first time we have a few little children that are listening at the edge of the table. Maybe. I think that's what it is. Supposed to be. It's hard to see.
Not the children, it's a big guy.
A small guy. That's I don't know.
You have a beer.
I don't know. I can't tell what's going on. Then you finish telling the story. What's next after Magid? From the top to the bottom. We're going down the row. From the top to the bottom. The right hand side. Second from the bottom. Rachza. Here they're washing their hands again. Washing their hands. What's the difference? We just washed our hands before.
Before the blessing.
One before the karpas.
The first one did not have a blessing. We did not say a blessing on the first one, right? Right. And the second one, we do say a blessing. What's the difference?
First we wash for the karpas.
And the second
is why don't we say a blessing?
Before bread.
That's right. The second one's before bread, so that's standard. We always make a bracha before eating bread. And the first one, why do we wash our hands for the first one? Let's review, guys. For the karpas, when we dip it in salt water. Well, some people say it's just so children will ask questions. But there is a precedent. There's a precedent that any food that gets dipped in water, you have to wash your hands before you eat it. Davar shetibulo b'mashke. We spoke about it.
So when food touches water, you have to wash your hands.
When?
Your food touches water.
That's correct. That's right.
If you dip lechem in soup.
That's right. You should first wash your hands before eating.
Or before you doing it, not after. So when you dipped it.
Yeah, before the meal. Yeah, before you eat. Yeah.
And then again, we do the lechem another time. So you do it because
No, if you're washing for the bread, then that covers both ideas. The idea of washing for the bread and for the dipping. But let's say you're having a wafer and you dip it in your tea
yes.
or your coffee. So the strict halacha is that you have to wash your hands beforehand.
Okay, but
Before you dip the wafer into your tea, you shouldn't be eating it unless you've washed your hands. There is a common custom that people ignore this law. not so justified, but it is the custom. It's the custom, and there is a lot to talk about it. It's not really mandated with a bracha, so you can see that it's of a lower level of obligation, as opposed to washing for bread, which is an obligation which is a mitzvah, right? But that's on the Leila Seder we do it also to make the children ask questions, and also because we know we're dipping the vegetable in the water, so we wash your hands. Kadesh u'achat, karpas yachat, magid rachza. What comes next? We go to the left column, top of the left column. Motzi matzah. Halal comes later. Halal comes at the end. That's the last one.
But they have it over here.
It's well. There's I think there's like two columns of 6 on either side. That's 12, and then Halel Nirtzah is at the bottom. The bottom one is for the end, right? So we go after the first 6. We go to the top of the left column. Motzi matzah. Motzi matzah. We have 2 zaitim, kezaitim of matzah. One because it's the bread of the day, it's the bread of the festive meal of Yom Tov, and one because it's a mitzvah to eat matzah. Then we have, what comes next? Maror. It's hard to see in the pictures, but and we dip it in charoset, but we shake it off.
They shake it off, yeah.
Then we
We
shake
put
it.
it in, then we shake it off. Yeah.
That's right. Korech,
It's a sandwich.
the sandwich or the wrap.
Yeah.
Shulchan Aruch. That's right. What does that mean?
Like the actual meal.
Eat the meal.
Yeah.
Eat a meal. We get a meal. So we're Yom Tov meal. Celebration feast. We got out of Egypt.
Finally.
We got out of Egypt. Finally.
After
That's-
5 hours.
After 5 hours. Good morning. Tzafun.
And afkomen.
At the end of the meal,
They have common.
after the dessert, we have the last thing we eat is the afikomo, which is the hidden matzah, which reminds us of the geula is still waiting for us. It's hidden, and we're waiting for it to be revealed. We make the Birkat HaMazon, Be'abarech, and finally at the bottom we have Halel and Nirtzah. Halel on the right side, Nirtzah on the left side. This is the way the artist drew it, and basically it's singing the praises of the Halel and asking Hashem that everything we did should find favor in His eyes.
Magid, it's the tell the story, right?
That's right. That's the telling the story. Okay. All right. Now let's turn the pages to the beginning of the Haggadah. Kadesh. Page 10.
Yeah, long time.
In the end, you talk about it.
Where?
Page 10 is the Kadesh. This year, we're not going to read page 10. We're going to read page 12. Why? What's the difference? That's right. This year it's Shabbat as well. So we have to say in the Kiddush also Shabbat and also Yom Tov. This year is Friday night. Yeah. No, not 2 Kiddushes. One or the other. Okay. So there's a page 14 we don't say this year. Page 14 is when it comes out to be Motzei Shabbat. Right, just choose the proper Kiddush. You don't say all 3.
Last year.
Last year was Motzei Shabbat? I didn't remember that.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was 2 days.
Yafe. Page 16 now.
Like
16? Stay with me. Rachatz, Karpas, and Yachatz, all on the same page. You can see for the Karpas we say a bracha before eating a small piece of lettuce, or really it's ideally it's a different herb than the one you're going to use for maror. Then we do Yachatz, we break the middle matzah. Finally, on page 18, Now we have the Magid section. As you can see, we did 3, 4. I was Kadesh, Uchatz, Kalpas, Yachatz. 4 out of the 14. Right away. So quickly. Now it slows down. Magid starts on page 18. And where does it end? Where does it end? Where does it end?
Whoa.
Where does it end?
It ends.
Where does it end?
Doesn't it?
Where does see the end?
I think it's page,
No.
page 58.
56.
Okay, well.
56. You see it says Rachatz. It should say Rachza is the usual way we say it. And Motzi is number 7 on page 56, right? And then 58, you have the Matz and the Maror, the Korech, very quickly. And then on page 60, you have the Shulchan Aruch and the Tzafun. And then Birkat HaMazon number 13. So you could see that's really the major part of the Haggadah. What's it, 30 pages? 30 pages? More than 30 pages? Almost 40 pages?
I think, yeah.
From 18 till 58? That's
40 page,
60.
42 page.
No, 58. Right? 58.
32 pages.
No, 40. Yeah.
40, almost
But
40.
you count the English. Yeah.
18 to 58 is
Actually, it's half. But it's Hebrew.
40 pages. Right. Oh, you're right. Anyways, so this is the major section that we're going to look at together. And I challenge you to find inside the Magid one little section. It's a little too much, I guess, because you're not familiar with the structure of the Magid. But I asked you to find Vehisha Amda, what you wrote down here on the board. So it's in the middle of the story. It's in the middle of the story. The story goes for 40 pages, almost. And the Vehisha Amda is a small little section that we have on page 26. It's page 26. It's really at the end of telling the story, in one way. From page 28 until page 44 is one long section, which we're not going to cover right now. So pretty much the Haggadah ends with Vehisha Amda on page 26. We'll talk about the structure a little bit more tomorrow. I'll bring in a chart for you to see the different sections of the Magid. Right, out of the 14, the Magid is the largest, and the Magid itself is telling the story in many different ways. So the Vehisha Amda, let's take a look and look at it together. Page 26. And she that stood. Right, Hirsch? That's the translation you found? Vehi she'amda. She, that's the page 26 and 27. The bottom, at the bottom of the page. This promise, so that's already a good commentary. See, in Hebrew, it just says, and she, and leaves you wondering, who is this she that stood for our fathers and for us?
She? The she. What is she? The Hebrew.
Vehi. It means, and she stood.
It's literally, and she.
And she stood. Vehi, he, in Hebrew. Who is he, and he is she. Right? He is she. Who is she? She. So it doesn't say that in English because it already gives an interpretation. Right? What's the, what is the she? The promise. So read it for us, David. This promise.
The promise made to our fathers holds true also for us in every generation. Not one alone has risen against us, but in every generation there are those who rise against us to destroy us. But the Holy One, blessed be He, rescued us from their hand.
Okay, so this is a very important little statement. How do I know that it's an important little statement? Look in the instructions.
Cover the matzah, lift up the cup of wine, but do not drink of it and say.
So we hold up the cup. Every once in a while we hold up the cup and we read a paragraph. Then we put down the cup and we uncover the matzahs to continue. So you can see on top of page 28, it says set down the cup and uncover the matzah.
Also for the children, right?
Everything we do is for the children, but this particular, we mentioned a few times that whenever we want to raise a toast or praise Hashem in a particular way, we raise up the cup, and then whenever we raise up the cup, we have to cover the matzah. They shouldn't be embarrassed.
Oh, it's the same principle like in...
Same like
Shabbat.
on Shabbat, that's right, and Kiddush. Same idea.
It's weird to say that the bread
Don't want to hurt with its feeling.
True.
it's like
It's a funny way of saying it, but you know what I mean. That we have a responsibility to show respect to the bread, because bread is supposed to have the priority when it comes to blessings. And if we pick up the wine with the bread uncovered, so we're not really doing our duty to show so we cover the matzah first.
bread and after the wine.
So we do, but we do back and forth. We keep doing a few times. We want to raise our cups.
No.
Each time we raise our cups, we cover.
Kiddush.
Because the rabbi said you have to say kiddush first before you eat.
It's a discussion, right? School and
So-
Nida,
no,
School and
so-
Shammai about that, right?
Sure, they discussed the kiddush at length. Yes. So we can't have the bread first on Shabbat. We have to have the kiddush first. So we cover the bread so that we can say the kiddush, and then we have the bread.
Because you like Kadesh?
It's like this, like in the Sedels, also Kadesh, and only later do we get to the bread. But we have to have the bread uncovered because we want to be telling the story about the bread. So most of the Magid, the bread is uncovered. But whenever we lift up the cup, we don't want to be disrespectful to the bread, so we cover it up for a few moments, lift up the cup, and we recite this beautiful statement. What is it saying? This promise made to our fathers holds true for us for every generation.
Still today.
Right, I like the English title. History repeats itself. Yes, may our words be to elevate the souls of the soldiers, the policemen that were killed yesterday in Hadera, and second terrorist attack in 1 week, and also may my sister have a refuah shlema.
Amen.
Amen. In any case, history repeats itself. That what does it say? That not one alone has risen against us, but in every generation there are those who rise against us to destroy us. But the Holy One, blessed be He, rescues us from their hand. Yes.
I agree what he said about like every generation they try to destroy us, everything. But actually, the Egyptians don't want to destroy us.
Which
Right.
ones?
They want to keep us there.
What do you
to
think?
serve him.
Well, putting our firstborn into the Nile River is
Yeah,
pretty bad.
No,
That's
but
pretty,
because like
and torturing us and turning us into slaves
Taking all your rights.
and telling us not to serve our God. It's pretty bad. You're right. It's
pretty
not.
bad,
It's
bad.
not the same as like genocide. Like we
Yeah.
just read the story of Haman, which wanted to physically kill every man, woman, and child, right? But it's still in the end the same result, that the Jewish people would be destroyed, and unless Hashem saved us. So the beginning says in Hebrew, "Vehi she'amda levateinu lanu," and it is she that stood for our fathers and us. So what's the she? So the English says it's the promise. The promise that God made, that He's going to create us and keep us as His eternal people forever. So this is a promise. There's another interpretation I learned when I was a child. I want to teach it to you. Yes?
The Amda is the feminine.
Yes. To stand. Amad, amda.
Can.
Stand. Ata omed, to stand up. Amda is feminine. Okay.
It's
Vehi.
connected to Amda. That's the feminine. That's why she. No,
Well, that question is, this is a pronoun, right? This is a pronoun, vehi, that she.
Mm-hmm.
What does it refer to? It's a little bit ambiguous in the text. So the English that we have gave an answer. It refers to the promise. And promise in Hebrew is a feminine object, and therefore the verb used is in a feminine conjugation. And she stood for us. She, meaning the promise, stood for us. But as you can see, it's a pronoun. We don't know what it means. There's other interpretations, what the Vehi that stood for us is. So when I was a child, I was taught, if you look at the word Vehi, how is it spelled? Vav,
Hey.
Hey, Yud, and an Aleph. And I was taught that Vav stands for, what do we have 6 in Judaism?
Sorry? For human.
6 in Judaism.
For men.
6 in Judaism?
Yeah, what do we, look around the room in the books. What do we have 6 of?
Oh, what do we have?
Shisha, Sidrei Mishnah. And what do we have? 5. Is there a series of 5 books?
Correct.
That's right, 5 of the Chumash. The Chumash comes from the word Chamesh. Right, we have 5 books of Moses. And the Yud, what do we have 10 of?
10 book of the
And-
10
and
commandments.
The 10 Commandments. The 10 Commandments. Aleph.
One God.
Only one God. Only one God. So this is an acronym. The Vav stands for the 6 orders of the Mishnah. That's the oral Torah. The 5 books of Moses. The 5. Hey stands for the written Torah. The Yud is the 10 Commandments, and the Aleph is God. All this is what stood for us for all generations.
Nice.
It refers to the promise that got expressed through our tradition. Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? You like it?
It was pretty, like the message is
It's
pretty
like
depressed,
everything
like
is-
we always will have a...
That's it. It's for
But
eternal.
you have that Hashem will save us.
Hashem will
But
save us.
The bigger part is about that's always will be this way. You never.
The promise is right in there, right?
The promise is written where?
In this, I don't know.
That's it. It get expressed through the books of Moses and the oral Torah of the 6 orders of the Mishnah and the 10 Commandments, and that God is with us. That God revealed Himself to us, and this is the Vehi. So when it says she stood for us, it doesn't necessarily mean some promise. It means that this entire Jewish tradition that gets expressed in all these different books. Nice, huh? Vehi Shem Dalavutim. As a matter of fact. But why does this translation say the promise? The previous paragraph speaks about the promise. What's the promise? Look at page 27, the second paragraph. It says God fulfills His promise. Blessed be God. Blessed be He who redeems His promise to Israel. The Holy One, blessed be He, was mindful of the destined day to fulfill His word, pledged to Abraham, our father, the covenant of the sacrifice, when He said to Abraham, you shall surely know that your seed will be sojourners in a land that is not theirs. They shall be there and be afflicted for 400 years. But also know the nation whom they shall serve, I will judge, and thereafter they shall go forth with a great substance. So this is makes sense what the English said. It Vehi she'amda, and this she. What's the she? Is the promise which we just mentioned that God promised to take us out of Egypt. He said we're going. He told Abraham in the covenant of the pieces. Usually it's called, right? Brit bein habitarim. Abraham. One year, I have at home some toys. My children were small. I still have them today. Now they're for my grandchildren, and they're like little animals. Did you ever play with little animal figures?
Lions.
So there's lions, there's a bear, there's a deer, and the ones that I have are like plastic molds, which are built from 2 sides that like stick into each other. I realized that one year, and what I did is, when I got up to this section of the Haggadah, I showed them, look, there was a covenant of the pieces, and what God told Avram was to take the animals and split them in half. Right? And I split the animal, and I have half a lion here, half a lion there, half a bear here, half a bear there, half a deer here, half a deer there. And I told Avram to walk between the pieces. You're familiar with the covenant of the pieces. It's a Bereshit.
He cut in half or he cut in half?
I don't know. It's a good question, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I always imagine like half and then they split the animal.
I don't know, but this is the toy that I had. It cut down the middle. So really, the covenant of the pieces, it was made for that, I think. Maybe not. Okay. No, or whatever. I used it. It got their attention. It kept them awake, using the props. Right. Anyways, we mentioned the covenant of the pieces, which is God's promise to the Jewish people, and unfortunately, we have to experience some suffering. He says to Abraham, "Your children are going to be foreigners in a strange land, and they're going to subjugate them and afflict them for 400 years." You know, it says that when there's a pasuk when Yaakov tells his children to go down to Egypt, he says to them, "Redu shama, go down there." To go down there, like laredet, to go down. Go down there. And I just say, well, if you look at that equals 200, right? Resh is 200, Dalet is 4, Vav is 6, so it's 210. And they say instead of 400 years, which God promised that the Jewish people will be subjugated, God reduced it to 210 years. We got a reduced sentence. And actually makes more sense that it was much shorter time that they were enslaved. But 400, of course, is also true. It's just the question is how you count. If you start counting from the moment that Yitzchak was born until the time they came out from Egypt, it comes out to be 400 years. So, but we see that God had mercy on us, even though He had to keep His promise. The promise was that we're going to be afflicted in a foreign nation, foreign country, but then we'll come out. If you look at the last line there, it says, "Thereafter they shall go forth with great substance." What does that mean? It's a funny translation in English. What does it say in the German? What do you have in Czech? Yeah, the end of the previous paragraph before Vahisha Amda. And then they will come out. It's a verse in the Torah. After the Jews are subjugated, they'll go with rechush gadol. What does rechush mean in modern Hebrew? Spoils, good. That's what it says with a lot of money. Rechush means possessions. Big possessions, rechush. Here it says substance. It means they'll come out with great possessions. What great possessions did the Jewish people come out with? Was that promise fulfilled? They had gold and silver? Where did they get it?
From the people.
What people?
From the Egyptian people, they give them all the gold.
They borrowed their clothes, their best, finest clothing, and their gold. Very good. And also, what else? How did they get gold and silver? When else? After they borrowed, they ran away, and then what happened? 7 days later. What happened 7 days later?
They crossed the Red.
They crossed the Red Sea, and then what happened? All the Egyptians got drowned, and then what was left? The sages tell us that they had on their carriages, and they had on their war carriages, all the soldiers had lots of gold and silver on the soldiers.
German, with large goods.
Large goods, yes. A lot of possessions. Large amount of possessions. Right. So that's the translation of the verse in the Torah. So you're right. That's what it means, and that's why God told them to take the gold and the silver, because He wanted to fulfill His promise that the Jewish people are going to leave not as poor slaves with just the shirt on their backs. They came out, they had the beautiful clothes and gold and silver. And even from the soldiers for that drowned in the sea, afterwards the sea came back and all the spoils washed up, and they had more gold and silver. Apparently they had very rich chariots. But there's one other thing which they were rich by, the Jewish people. What happened when we came out of Egypt? What is the great possession that we received?
We have the Torah.
Excellent. That's right.
What? Torah or freedom?
The Torah, well, both freedom and Torah. Freedom and Torah. The Rechush Gadol is the Torah which we received.
You are free from Egypt, but you cannot be free from God. Now,
That's right. That's it.
The owner of the counter of the owner.
Yes.
It connects it, because there's no freedom without the Torah.
Yafeh. We count from Egypt, from coming out of Egypt, from the Exodus, we come out for 49 days. When we come to the 50th day, we receive the Torah. Yafeh. Very good. Okay, so this is a nice little section, very important section. We hold up our cups of wine. L'chaim. We don't drink. We only drink the second cup of wine at the end of the story, on page 56. Right? We just hold it, and then we put it down again, and then we uncover the matzah. We keep telling the story in a different way. Okay, let me... let us... What time is it? What time is it? The clock is off, so we have to stop here. I'm sorry.
It's 9:15.
Yeah.
10:15.
Oh, sleep. I still have a
Yeah, 10:13. Yeah. So we'll try to get... We'll continue learning the Haggadah tomorrow, B'ezrat Hashem. Okay.